This is Coffee with God, and I am Father Jose. Let us begin this day with the Word of God and a short reflection.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John, chapter 21, verses 1 to 14. The passage is taken from the Message version of the Bible. After this, Jesus appeared again to the disciples, this time at the Tiberias Sea, the Sea of Galilee. This is how he did it. Simon Peter, Thomas, nicknamed Twins, Nathanael from Cana in Galilee, the brothers Zebedee, and two other disciples were together. Simon Peter announced, "I am going fishing." The rest of them replied, "We are going with you." They went out and got in the boat. They caught nothing at night. When the sun came up, Jesus was standing on the beach, but they didn't recognize him. Jesus spoke to them. "Good morning. Did you catch anything for breakfast?" They answered, "No." He said, "Throw the net off the right side of the boat and see what happens." They did what he said. All of a sudden, there were so many fish in it. They weren't strong enough to pull it in. Then the disciples Jesus loved said to Peter, "It's the Master." When Simon Peter realized that it was the Master, he threw on some clothes, for he was stripped for work, and dove into the sea. The other disciples came in by boat, for they were not far from land, 100 yards or so, pulling along the net full of fish. When they got out of the boat, they saw a fire laid, with fish and bread cooking on it. Jesus said, "Bring some of the fish you have just caught." Simon Peter joined them and pulled the net to the shore. 153 big fish. And even with all those fish, the net didn't rip. Jesus said, "Breakfast is ready." Not one of the disciples dare ask, "Who are you?" They knew it was the Master. Jesus then took the bread and gave it to them. He did the same with the fish. This was now the third time Jesus had showed himself alive to the disciples since being raised from the dead. The Gospel of the Lord.
Reflections on the Holy Gospel according to St. John chapter 21 verses 1 to 14. Biblical scholars today suspect that this passage in the Gospel of John was not written by John. Many of the words and phrases used here do not reflect the literary style of the previous chapters of John. They believe that it was a close disciple of John who added this passage to the original text to address the divisions that had arisen within the community. John's letters give us clear evidences that there had been deep divisions within the community, and some disciples had even left the community. We read in first letter of John chapter 2 verse 19. This raised the issue of how to decide who was right. The references to the charcoal fires are provided twice in John's Gospel. On the night before the Lord's Passion, it was at a fireplace that Peter denied Jesus by saying, "I don't even know the man." Now, on the second occasion, Jesus comes in search of Peter and his company for his reconciliation. It was for the possibility of